Welcome to the first Jack and the Geekstalk podcast. I'm going to start off by introducing everyone. So Luke is our resident gamer and Daisy extraordinaire, known to his legion of fans as Lucas Wiz. Say hello.
Hi everybody.
Sammy is our fanatical fandom follower, expert on all things Tumblr, especially ships.
Hello.
Dave is our jack of all trades, basically a walking encyclopedia of anything film, TV, comic book and geek.
Hello.
And I'm Lou. I'm our bookworm and general keeper of order, hopefully. We thought a good place to start for our first podcast would be to talk about Batman versus Superman Dawn of Justice. Alert right now for spoilers. There will be lots. So if you haven't seen it yet, you might want to come back to us later. We went and saw it. Today's Monday. We saw it Friday night. And, well, I thought we'd start by just going around and having one word each to start us off about our thoughts on the film. So, Dave, let's start with you. For one word.
Soul destroying. It's hyphenated, so
Okay.
it still counts.
Luke?
I'm just going to go with disappointing.
Sammy?
Horrific.
Strong.
My word really is just boring, which I didn't think I was going to say. Okay, so anyone want to start us off on anything in particular? I mean, Dave, you said soul destroying. That's.
Well, it's the film has, as with anything like this, it's going to be so hyped up, and for 3 years it has been. And I don't think I've ever been into a comic book film which I've been more disappointed by coming out of. I was super excited, as the other three of you will attest to before we went in.
Just a smidge.
And there's some really, really good bits in it. Unfortunately, it just doesn't work altogether. It's messy and it's crowded, and I don't know. I died inside a little bit afterwards.
So I'm going to go for what your word was, Laura, which is boring, which is a film that has the words Batman and Superman in it, should not then be followed by the word boring. We should have come out of there being so excited. And we all came out, and I mean, we all looked at Dave, who just... He's right, his soul had been destroyed.
Can I suggest another tagline for the film?
Yeah.
Yawn of Justice.
I like it.
On that point, though, thinking about the title, it was Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice. Personally, I don't feel like that in any way reflected what was in the film.
I think they should have just got rid of the Batman-Superman bit. If they just had Dawn of Justice, it would have been better. Because there's the Easter eggs and there's the references to the Justice League film, and you see on the hacked hard drive that Bruce gets his hands on from Lex Luthor, you get a really forced scene for each of the Justice League members that we know of at the moment. But each one of those scenes individually was good, but the way they were put into the film was really bad.
No. The Aquaman scene was not good.
Yeah,
it was horrific. I borrowed Sammy's word. It was awful.
I do have to admit the Aquaman one, if he'd not spent so long just staring at the camera, probably would have been better. But
Quickly touching on what Sammy said about those two massive names in the title, Batman and Superman. Sammy made a really good point when we were going home on that night, and she said that a film that was titled Ant-Man last year, when you think about the comics and think of how much impact that Batman and Superman have had, and then a film called Ant-Man did, well, maybe not did better in terms like commercially, but
was a better
movie, and then disappointed.
Yeah, it was definitely disappointing. I mean, I went in. You guys were all a lot more excited about it than I was. I think we all had our individual reservations about it. Mine was that the last Superman film, Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Man of Steel. I completely blanked on the title then. Man of Steel. The last Superman film. Obviously, Dave quite liked that film. Sammy and I, not so much. Again, I found that was just a bit long. In particular, I felt some of the fight scenes were a bit long, and again, they got a little bit boring. With this, I was going into it, and before we went in, I said, I just don't want to be bored. I just don't want it to feel exactly the same as Superman. And it was worse. I think at about 10 minutes in, I was sitting there thinking, this is not going well. About halfway through, I actually turned to all three of you and went, nothing has happened.
I was ready for it to be average. I was not ready for it to be as bad as it is. And I said this about Jurassic World when we all went to see that before, and I said it was the first film that I'd ever seen that I wanted my money back as I came out of the cinema. The difference between those two films is Jurassic World is bad, but you can laugh at it. Batman Superman is so bad you can't laugh at it.
I personally, I just think for a film that's titled Batman v Superman and all of their marketing was based around this fight, there was 10 minutes of the fight, probably not even that, where they actually fought each other, and that was actually probably the best bit of the movie, in my opinion.
See, that's what again that I was saying when we was on our way home, is that I don't feel like the film was Batman v Superman. I feel like it was Bruce Wayne versus Clark Kent, because the most of their fighting and bickering, they weren't being their characters. They were being, their normal selves, as it were. They weren't being their alter egos, and that's dull. It's two grown men having a hissy fit at each other.
That's a fair point.
Well, I think that plays into my opinion of Henry Cavill as Clark Kent. He's good. He looks like Superman, and he can do Superman pretty well, but he can't do Clark Kent. His Clark Kent isn't believable as the nerdy reporter guy. I mean, Christopher Reeve's Clark Kent is awesome. He's got the nervous, the clumsiness and the stuff like that. But Henry Cavill doesn't. He just looks like Superman with glasses on.
I think one of the problems with Henry Cavill, I
No
never
idea.
get it right how you say his name. He's like you say.
Let's call him Hank.
He looks very good as the Superman part. I will say, and I said this on the night, the part where he was walking in to the Senate hearing, I don't know whether he just buffed up too much or his paint was slightly too thin on his suit. It just looked ridiculous. I just did not like that bit. But he, like you say, he's very good as Superman and very believable as an action hero. He's not believable in the kind of sweet, really good-natured, naive side of things. Like, you can believe that he wants to do the right thing, but then most look at, going over to Marvel, look at Cap, look at Tony Stark. They want to do the right thing, they just go about it in the wrong way sometimes. He generally is supposed to be this quite naive little farm boy, and that doesn't come across, I don't think, in Henry Cavill. He's an action hero at the end of the day.
I completely agree with what you're saying. I also think that the way that Clark Kent was written, for obviously he's just reading his lines, it's all wrong. And the way he was dressed, almost like, if you think about the classic Superman movies, when he's Clark Kent, his jackets don't really quite fit him right. He looks really quite kind of awkward. Whereas, in this, he's got tight-fitting shirts on to show just how massive his upper body is. And he's talking back to his boss, which is something Clark Kent doesn't do. Although he has beliefs, he would get to a certain point and back down because he can't risk everyone knowing who he is. And he doesn't do that. He fights too much as Clark Kent.
What did we all think of Ben Affleck?
That's what I was just going to say. Personally, I really liked him, but I was quite positive from the beginning about him.
We all know that when he first got cast, my initial response was, no, I hate him. He ruined Daredevil for me. I thought he was a terrible actor. But then Dave was trying to make me excited, got me to watch Argo, which was fantastic, and I thought I could see him as Bruce Wayne. I could see him getting away with that, and I came out of that very happy with his version of Batman as well, actually. I think in a certain way, I feel really sorry for Ben Affleck, because I think he did very well, but the film is just terrible.
I think you could tell that he had some input into his lines and his scenes, because he's good as Batman. He's almost better as Bruce Wayne, because you can see both Bruce Wayne and Batman. They're the older, grislier ones that we've ever seen before. They're a bit world weary, sick of the world. Too many bad guys have been through and not been dealt with appropriately. So he's just had enough, really, and he wants to put things right.
Just on that, his line, he actually had a line in there where Alfred says to him about, oh, you've put endless people away, and he says, oh no, this is my first chance to actually do something. There'll always be another criminal.
Yeah.
And that was the feeling you got. He was just tired of, I'm dealing with the same criminals all the time, I want to leave a legacy. And it was alluded to that he wasn't going to leave kids behind as well, which I thought was a bit of a step away from where the Dark Knight trilogy ended. And I liked that it was distinct. This is a different film, this is a different being altogether.
I think that if movies can introduce a character that is already established in their universe, it works really well, and I think they did a brilliant job at doing that in this. He's supposed to have been Batman for 20 years, was it? Something along those lines. I think Alfred mentioned they'd been fighting criminals in Gotham for 20 years, and they did do a really good job. Everybody, Ben Affleck, I thought was excellent, to be honest with you. I thought he was really good, probably the best bit of the movie.
So we're saying Affleck, excellent.
Yeah.
Actually, I think everybody's quite looking forward to seeing him again doing this. Hank.
Good old Hank.
Good as Superman, not great as Clark Kent, but doesn't make the whole thing terrible. Just him.
Not the worst aspect of the film.
No.
Does look like he is trying to use the bathroom quite a lot.
Yes.
Smell the fart acting.
Okay. So talking about how characters were played, Jesse Eisenberg as Luther. Now I know we've got a disagreement over this already. So Luke, you can start with what you thought of him.
Honestly, when I found out that he'd been cast as Lex Luthor, now I'm not a huge fan of the comics. I don't know the backstory of the character too much, but obviously seeing previous portrayals of him as being the rich, kind of crazy guy, I thought Jesse Eisenberg surprised the movie for me. Brilliant. I really liked him. There was one scene in particular where he went really crazy, standing on a helipad with Lois Lane, and that was probably my favourite scene in the movie. He played crazy really well. I think someone said that. I think you said that on the night, didn't you, Dave?
Yeah.
And I know what your argument's going to be as well, is that he's not intimidating.
Yeah, I don't. As I said, he does play crazy very well, and I think he did exactly what he was going for. And I think the way they're changing the character a little bit, because he's playing Lex Luthor Jr. and not the dad that we all are familiar with from the comics. They've gone for a slightly different version than we're used to. He's not intimidating. Whether it's just his craziness because he's unpredictable, you never know what he's going to do. I don't know, but he goes a little bit too crazy. I don't know whether it's Jesse Eisenberg or whether it's the character itself. It just didn't fit for me.
So I agree in that he played the crazy very well, and like you say, it makes him unbalanced, which means that he's unpredictable. But it's not just that he's not physically intimidating. His craziness isn't that intimidating either.
I felt with him it was a bit of a very spoilt rich kid not getting his way, not having the biggest toy under his control effectively. I mean, the fact that he kept saying about power and all of that, it seemed much more about, I want the biggest power out there, as opposed to this genuine hatred of Superman. And you almost got the feeling that he didn't care who won, Batman or Superman, which made it slightly ridiculous as to the lengths he then went to. I don't dislike Jesse Eisenberg as the character he played. I think the character he played was very good. I don't know that was entirely the right character for the film.
Yeah.
I suppose it does make sense that he's a younger version of the Luthor we're used to, because if you think about it, Superman's fairly new to the world as well, because he's only been active for a year or two? Well, 2 years, because it's 18 months, isn't it, since the Battle of whatever it was. Metropolis. That's what
You so nearly said Sokovia.
I was thinking New York, DC. No. But yeah, Superman's fairly new as well, so it makes sense to have a new, if you like, Lex Luthor. But the thing that stuck with me is that there's no real justification that he wants Superman to kill Batman. I understand that he's trying to make the world see Superman as a danger, but he doesn't need to kill Batman to do that. He's already successfully done that, and there's enough people questioning him already. That's why he's on trial.
Yeah, it's not explained as to why specifically it's Batman he's got a vendetta against, because that's almost how it seems. It's like he hates both of them, and like you said, he doesn't care which one wins, because either way he wins. He wants one of them gone because he can't stand either of them, but it's not explained as to why he has this vendetta against Batman for some reason.
Yeah.
Okay, we've said a fair amount of the bad stuff so far, and there is some more bad to go. But one bit that I think we all acknowledged was fairly good was although it was short, the Batman versus Superman actual fight.
Yes.
Now, we had someone who hasn't seen the film actually said to Dave and I a couple of days ago, I don't understand the premise of it. Superman could just kill Batman as soon as he gets there, effectively, as soon as he turns up to the fight. what was everyone's thoughts on the fight?
I thought it was good, too short,
Yes.
and there was quite a lot of references straight out of the comic books. Like, well, initially, obviously, the power suit that Batman's wearing, it's taken straight from the front of
Very
the comic.
cool.
There's the kryptonite gas bomb or gas grenade that Batman uses. That's taken out as well. Using the sound projectors to knock Superman back a little bit. That's taken out as well.
That felt just like a scene from from the newer of the Hulk films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That bit, and I got a little bit distracted by that at the time. I know it is in the comics, but I did just sit there and go, this is from the Hulk film, hang on.
On that, he takes them out in pretty much exactly the same way as well. He just picks things off the ground and then throws them at it, and they takes them both out. But no, I thought the way the fight looked was good. There's a few things in there that didn't quite fit, like when Batman throws a smoke grenade down and he instantly moves out the way, even though Superman super speeds through the smoke to where he was, and Batman's already moved somewhere. He can't move that quick.
I have read since, which I didn't know, because like I said, I'm not a huge fan of the comics, but I have read since that smoke grenade was lead-based smoke, which Superman can't see through lead.
That would explain why he
That
couldn't
would
see through.
explain.
Yeah.
And apparently that's something, again, that's ripped directly from the comics.
That makes sense.
When they fight. I really enjoyed the fight scene. I thought it was the best bit of the movie for me, more so than the final battle.
It was quite brutal.
It was very brutal.
Yeah,
Really brutal.
I know it wasn't particularly long, but you know what was happening. It was like you say, it was brutal. It was almost hard to watch in some places because you think, Jesus, they're gonna kill each other.
I don't think it was the violence that was actually hard to watch. I mean, I'm not a massive fan of violence, as we know, but that wasn't difficult to watch. I think what was difficult to watch for me was really understanding where Bruce Wayne's mind was at.
Yeah.
That bit where he was swinging Superman round into stuff, and you thought, that's a deranged man there. That's someone that has really reached the end of their rope.
Yeah, it's the emotion behind everything because they're both broken men at this point, and you can see that in their fighting. You know, Superman doesn't really want to be in this fight. He wants help, and Batman's just too far gone almost. You know, he doesn't realise what he's doing is insane.
Unlike with Civil War, that's coming out later in the year, which...
Oh, Sammy!
Oh no, Sammy's passionate, shall we say,
Yeah,
about Civil War.
We'll come on to that.
Unlike with Civil War, where we are rooting for a side, in the Batman vs Superman fight, I was genuinely torn as to who I was rooting for in it. I didn't know who I wanted to win.
I'm always going to go Batman.
I must admit, when I went in, we all said, before we went to see the film, we was all saying, what team are we? And most of us were saying, we said pretty much Team Bats, and that's what I thought. I thought I was always going to be, I want Batman to win this, because in strength terms, he's sort of the underdog. He's human. Superman isn't. But as I was watching it more and more, I'm like, I don't want you to win because you'd be winning for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. The thing is, I presumed that neither was going to win and they were going to call a truce because we know that's kind of what happens at some point. But I was genuinely watching thinking, it's not, he's going to kill him. I genuinely thought at any minute he's going to decapitate him. That was what I thought was going to happen.
I think I would have preferred that to what actually happened.
Yes, okay. So the end of that fight and how it ended.
Before we get to that, the kryptonite spear that Batman makes, when they was making that, I was convinced they were going to bring Green Arrow in.
That would have been cool.
Because in the comic, Green Arrow shoots an arrow at, I know it's not, it's a kryptonite gas arrow or something at Superman, but I was convinced that was going to happen. I didn't realise the scale of it. It was a lot bigger than that. But why did it have to be a spear? Couldn't he just have had like a knife on his hip that he could have just stabbed into the Superman at close range? He didn't have to swing him all around, chuck him down that massive hole and then stab him.
But then it wouldn't have been as useful.
Oh, that's true.
For killing Doomsday. Plot holes. Sorry about that.
Before we move on to the end as well, which was the worst bit of the fight.
Yeah.
The spoilers that came from the trailers.
Yes.
It ruined the fight for me.
Yeah.
We knew how it was going to end. I mean, the film was called Dawn of Justice, so we knew that it was going to be the beginning of the Justice League anyway. But the amount that they showed in the trailer, certainly not the last trailer, but the one before that, when they revealed Doomsday, that was what ruined the fight for me.
Yeah, I feel like they took a lot of the main good scenes from like the fight and they shoved that in the trailer, and they did that thing where they put all the good things in the trailer. And as I said when we were walking out of the film, I feel like all of the bits in the trailer that made us go, oh, that's going to be amazing, especially with Batman, directly followed by him failing epically or being knocked on his arse. And I'm like, that's a little less cool now. And they just shoved all the good things in the trailer from the fight, and it sort of makes you sit back and go, well, yeah, okay, I've seen this.
Yeah, you're right, it did feel a lot like that. So with the end of the fight, I mean, one thing that I said when we came out, obviously, I think we're all in agreement, the whole Martha thing, I get what they were going for, but I genuinely sat there at that point and thought, one, it had never dawned on me that their mums had the same name ever. I just hadn't considered it. But also, I was sitting there and I was thinking, do you know what would be less ridiculous right now? Is if they tried to make out that they are somehow brothers. That would be less ridiculous than everything else that has happened to this point.
It did seem so stupid. Oh, 1 minute we're going to kill each other. We don't want the world to end, so we're fighting to the death. It looks like, say, at one point, we thought they was going to decapitate each other or whatever. Our mums have the same name. Let's stop fighting. It was just stupid.
They were immediately became best friends. And say you've got Bruce Wayne like shouting at him, quite distraught because he thinks he's talking about his mum, screaming at him like, "Why did you say that name?" Now Lois Lane is human, bloody awful one at that. She runs in out of nowhere, not hearing what the name was, and straight away went, "It's his mum." She didn't know who he was talking about.
And also, why was Superman calling his mum by her name?
Who does that? We say, save my mum.
Well, at that point, they know who each other is, don't they?
But they've not introduced each other to their families, have they? I mean, that would be awkward for Batman, but...
Too soon.
That didn't feel like a natural ending.
No.
Dave made a really good point, actually, to me. Not necessarily just about the ending, but about the whole fight and the fact that it's a good job it was in the film, but it wasn't really needed, the way they set it up, because Superman could have just flown in, bear hugged Batman and gone, right, so Lex Luthor has got my mum hostage and he's going to burn her to death unless I take your head. Work with me and let's figure this out.
Yeah. Easily avoidable. It was so easily avoidable if they were just not children.
I have a suggestion. I could change the future of the DC Cinematic Universe right now.
Go okay.
You know, for it. When Bruce has that vision, when the Flash comes back in time, we assume.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it says that Lois Lane's the key. Maybe he's just saying Lois Lane, and then when she says when he says that she's the key, he's talking about Martha. Yeah? If it wasn't for Martha, then that whole fight wouldn't happen, and then Superman wouldn't die, spoiler, and we wouldn't have that entire film.
Can I just say as well, I did not get that was the Flash coming back during the
neither
dream
did I. I don't think any of us did.
I think it's because his suit's so different. I didn't recognise Ezra Miller in it.
Say facially, I didn't recognise him.
It's because he had that helmet that opened up.
Yeah, I think it was partly. I also think if you didn't know what Ezra Miller looked like, which I didn't really, that very short, small shot you got the CCTV footage was not enough to then recognise that as being him.
Plus, that came after the vision that Batman had.
Did it?
Yeah.
Okay, well then disregard everything I just said.
Well, no, but it still makes sense.
To be fair, yeah, actually, when I then saw him, I still didn't put together who they actually were. I did get that it was supposed to be someone from the future coming back in time, but I didn't twig, especially, I mean, obviously we watched the Flash TV show and we've seen time travel there. I still didn't twig that was supposed to be the Flash coming back in time. Which does kind of lead us on to, I think they called them meta-humans.
Yeah, meta-humans.
Yeah.
Is that a term from the comic books? I'm being slightly naive now.
I think so.
Is it because obviously that's what we're used to seeing in the Flash TV show, that terminology, and I sort of sat there and go, have they just ripped that off?
I don't think they've ripped it off. I think what DC, Warner Brothers, CW Network, all that, and CBS are trying to do is represent multiverse in a very, very different ways. I think they've confirmed a few times that they're not officially having the TV characters cross over into the cinematic universe, but they're sort of acknowledging it in each other. So there'll be like Arrow's mentioned a couple of things about Batman and Legends of Tomorrow, especially. They're travelling all over the place, so there's a few references going everywhere. So they're just trying to reference the possible multiverse, and that Flash time travel thing could be a different version of the Flash. It might not be from the future; it might just be from a different world. So I don't know.
I mean, I felt that the integration of those brief cameos and those characters just didn't work.
It was because they were crowbarred in.
It was
Yeah.
forced in. That was the problem.
I mean, I think you said about the files on the computers with the logos.
Yeah, even the logos being there was too much. I think somebody said that just having like file names instead, we didn't even need that scene in there. So when she was on when Wonder Woman was on the computer when received the email from Bruce, that didn't even need to be there. I didn't think.
I feel like it would have made more sense for if they did feel like they needed that in there. It would have made more sense for it to have happened with Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
Because you see him opening the files and stuff. It was unnecessary to then cut away from that and then send it over to her, and we find out because by that point, when they first showed it, I was like, okay, they're just showing the symbols. I'm all right with that. And then you see her opening them, and you're like, okay, well this is just dull now. It's stupid. You don't need clips of the people that feel like they were done too quickly just to shove them in the film.
Yeah.
I liked the cyborg one though.
Yeah, but that's like you were saying, that's because it's directly from the comic, isn't it?
Well, it's how he looks, and they brought in, which we'll probably talk about in a minute, but a mother box, which is another hint at who's coming in the future films, because the mother box is a piece of technology used by Darkseid and the New Gods, and obviously Darkseid is teased for a few things in the film, but the way he looks and the way it's being filmed from like a desk camera from his dad trying to work on him, trying to bring him back to life, and then only activated by this foreign technology that's put into him, I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah. I've already said I absolutely hated the Aquaman one. It was just
It just lingered.
It was awful. I know we're suspending disbelief anyway when we're coming into this type of film, but I do not believe that anyone would have gone and shot that footage in that way and it not be on news. I just don't believe it. It was ridiculous. I hate it so much. So coming off of that, talking about the metas, we can't not talk about Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all had a similar opinion. She, as a character, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I saw a article though that said that in total 7 minutes she had.
Yeah, there was
7 minutes.
nowhere near enough of her.
And she's an awesome character, and I know that me and you, Laura, were very much looking forward to her. Getting a strong woman. We're like, yeah. And then you sort of say, okay, well, they did not use her how they should have at all.
Are those 7 minutes of her in her Wonder Woman get-up? Right, so
No.
most of those 7 minutes are her on a plane
Yep.
at the event with that Lex Luthor organised, and then she stole something of Bruce's,
Yep.
and in a car,
Yep.
and basically in civilian clothes. And there's
Pretty much.
must be only about 2 or 3 minutes, maybe more.
Yeah, I think there's like 4 minutes of her actually
Of
in
her
her Wonder
fighting.
Woman gear, actually doing anything.
But when she's in that gear,
She's amazing.
So good.
I was about to say, when she turned up in the Wonder Woman outfit, the music that they used, I think you made the point, Lou, that the music was overused. I thought it was bloody epic.
It wasn't that point. The bit with Lex Luthor with the evil music playing,
yeah.
then the loving music when Lois and Clark
Every
had
time
them
they were
on
on screen.
I literally was just sitting there rolling my eyes. But you're right, the music when she turned up, for me, that stood out because it was one bit of the film that I was literally standing there going, yes! Yes!
At the exact moment she turned up, I looked at Luke and went, about in time.
I was about to say that. It was all. She was there for she was in quite a sort of a few different acts of the movie. She turned up as what's her character?
Diana.
Diana
Prince.
And then just to have her for that tiny moment during that final battle, it just seemed like it was wasted.
They nearly got it right with her. I think
Yeah.
her action they got right,
Yeah.
her look they got right, her character they got right, and I think they came close to getting her integration right. They didn't quite. Maybe they needed to reveal her as Wonder Woman far earlier so that she had a proper purpose in the film. Even if it had been that they'd revealed her, had a bit of a conversation, she said, no, I don't do this, and then she turned up. And what ended up happening was she, again, felt a little bit crowbarred into the film.
They have, with having her in there, although I agree it was not for the right amount of time and it wasn't quite done right, they've made me excited for her future and seeing more of her. She is someone I'm looking forward to seeing again.
and she had the lasso of truth.
She had the lasso of truth.
You were so excited about that.
Well, all the pictures you've seen before, there was a hint that she had the lasso on her hip, but you could see the tiara, you could see the gauntlets, and you could see her shield and her sword. But you never knew if she was going to actually use that. And when she used it, it was all glowing like it does in the old TV show and in the comics and everything. But obviously Doomsday didn't talk, so he wouldn't give them any truths. But it stopped him for a while.
For like 2 seconds of that we saw, because
Yeah, but no, she was good. Sammy,
Absolutely.
I think you're right. Really excited for her future. As bad as this film was, when we came away from it, I actually came away thinking, I want to see the Justice League film. This has not put
Absolutely.
me off at all. I think it's going to be a good film. I think I explained it to Dave. I felt like this was almost like the Phantom Menace. It was the necessary evil you had to get through and rush everything through and compact it all in that was a bit rubbish and not very well done to get to better films. I am hoping the Justice League film is going to be better than Attack of the Clones. But
here's my problem with what you've just said about that this felt rushed.
Careful.
This film was announced after Man of Steel, which came out 3 years ago. This film wrapped its production in 2014.
It feels like since then no one has done anything to it.
Well, you say that. It feels to me that they've been looking at it and maybe editing it like constantly, and then they've gone at several points. They've gone, we need something different in there. Let's do this as well, and then shove that in as well.
Yeah.
I think the way I explained it to Dave is that when you're making a film, you do your storyboard of every scene that you're going to film, and you lay them all out, and then you look and you say, okay, what don't we need in here? Or even after you filmed it, you look and see what you've got and what don't we need. And it felt like nobody had done that, because there were several storylines you could take out of that film and it still makes sense. Some of the stuff with the Senator and Lex being blocked on bringing in the kryptonite wasn't necessary.
Yeah, she was an unnecessary character.
One of the things I really disliked, I know what they were trying to portray, but it felt like a bit of a cheap shot, and to a certain degree I thought it was a little bit vulgar, in all honesty, was the glass of wee. I didn't feel like that was needed. We already knew he was crazy at that point, and as soon as she said to him about, oh, you can fill a cup with piss and call it peach tea, you knew it was going to happen, and I just didn't like, especially when he was going to blow the Senate up anyway.
I must admit, the minute I saw the glass of pee, I was like, that is somehow like toxic or something. That's when I realised that something was going to happen in the Senate, which, that's it. You sort of go, okay, well, something bad is about to happen, and then boom. Must admit, I did like that scene for one pure reason.
I know what you're going to say.
Luke jumped out of his seat so high, and I love it when he does that, and it was so funny because him jumping made you jump, Laura.
He did. I thought he'd spilled a drink.
No, I did genuinely jump. I jumped a couple of times in that movie.
But you like that feeling, don't you?
I really do enjoy that feeling when something scares me like that.
So funny.
I'll remember that for future.
I didn't dislike that scene. I thought that scene was quite good. I want Dave to say what he told us on the night, what he thought about that scene.
What, the Senate scene?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't mind the scene at all. It's the bit after the bomb explodes. You see the reactions, and then it goes in on Superman inside the explosion and the fire, and you can tell he's just standing there going, well, crap. This is going to make things worse.
I didn't like that bit where he was just stood in
there.
the flames, because I don't know if he was, but they sort of made it look like he might be crying, and I didn't like that. Also, and this is me being somewhat pedantic, but a bomb of that size would have killed everyone outside, including Lois Lane. Just saying.
No, but she's invulnerable, as
Of
we've
course
seen
she is.
in both Man of Steel and this film.
Actually, on that point, now obviously just before that, she figures out that she is somehow the key to all this. In that she figures out that the reason Superman went to the desert was because of her, and they knew that he would go there because of her. So someone knows who he is and that she is important to him, etc. So obviously that's been figured out. We know now that it's Lex, but at the time she didn't know that. So she's then racing to try and get to him to tell him, right, there is a couple of things. One, cell phones. I know he's Superman, but surely he has got a cell phone.
Oh, I want to know where it's kept though.
He doesn't need one. He's got superhero.
But yes, this is the thing. I was standing there going, she's making out that there's no way I'm going to be able to get his attention. I'm thinking, he has already shown that when it comes to you, like, he hears everything in relation to you.
That was one of the major plot points.
Yeah,
when she fell off the building, or was pushed off the building.
He will always hear her. She literally just had to stand there and go, Clark. And he'd have heard her, he'd have been there.
Here's my problem with his superheroing, which seems to be optional.
Most men have that.
She gets pushed off the building by Lex, and he comes down and rescues her. Obviously, he was some distance away, we imagine. He heard her fall or whatever. When his mum got kidnapped...
Oh, yeah.
Nothing.
He doesn't care about her.
No. There were... to be honest, we sort of were saying there was quite a few plot holes and then there were unnecessary plot points. That just sums the film up. It was one very big plot hole with a lot of other very unnecessary plot points in there as well.
Every time that Clark and Lois were on screen together, my brain was just going boo because it was boring. I don't care about their relationship, and they didn't make it. Although yes, it was necessary. They almost tried to overdo it with them, like oversell them as this amazing couple. And then when it came to, like you say, the optional hearing. You get to the fight with Doomsday. She realises that she probably shouldn't have thrown that spear in that water hole. Tries to go and get it, and is an idiot and drowns, obviously. I'm fairly certain at this point Superman's back to full strength, because he's been taking a couple of blows. Now I'm fairly certain he's got X-ray vision, but he can't see her. He hears her drowning, and then goes and saves her.
To be fair, I don't know many people who can see people drowning.
He can see through...
Other than looking through things, but he wasn't even looking at her. He was in the fight, so you can argue that he's just distracted.
No, I can get the hearing in that bit. The bit that I didn't get there was that actually, if he figured out, which it appeared that he had figured out that it was the kryptonite spear she was trying to get, why not say to Batman, who has been doing very little in the fight with Doomsday because he can't, can you go over there and just go rescue my girlfriend, grab the kryptonite spear, and then we'll get this job done. No, he has to go and do it himself.
What about Jeremy Irons as Alfred?
Awesome.
Loved that.
Loved it, except I kept thinking he was Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, see, I kept thinking of him as Scar. I'm just closing my eyes seeing a lion.
I liked how almost bitter they had made him. Because he is sick of having to pick up after Bruce Wayne and always have to repair him, patch his bullet wounds and stuff like that.
The wit was good. I liked the accent. They didn't overdo the accent.
Yeah. I think Michael Caine was a bit too Michael Caine-y to be Alfred, to be honest.
Yeah.
But Jeremy Irons, no good.
I think you're right. Like, Michael Caine, he was sort of cast in the fact that he's Michael Caine.
Yes.
But say Jeremy Irons, I like that because for all intents and purposes, he has almost been a father to Bruce. He's been the only adult in his life since his parents died. And, like you say, it's made him bitter.
That's talking about his parents. The beginning of the film with the Batman origin story, again, that we've seen 400 times.
Unnecessary to class those actors.
Yeah, it made me so angry.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan and what's her face?
Lauren
Cohen.
Oh, I didn't recognise her.
She's from The Walking Dead.
Oh, I wouldn't recognise her.
She's from Supernatural as well.
Yeah.
She
plays...
Is she in a series that I've actually
Yes.
seen?
You know...
Bella, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I
That's
didn't realise
her.
it was her. Yeah, see, the problem was...
I've just lost my super hearing now.
Sorry. As soon as that bit came on and you realised they were doing the origins of him again, I literally at that point was... I'm bored.
Yeah.
Because I know they had to do it, but I still sat there and I thought, everyone knows this. Every film, every Batman film does this. Do we have to revisit it? Which leads me on to the producers, the effects people from this film should be banned from ever using slow motion ever again.
On that, are you talking about the Bruce Wayne fall into the pit of bats was ridiculous.
All of it.
But the bit with the gun and the pearls, that was awesome. That again is taken straight out of the comics, exactly how it's almost frame for frame. But like Luke said, completely unnecessary to have those accidents. You could have just had two random people.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen it
It
before.
didn't add anything.
Can you remember the people who played his parents in any other version?
Not a clue.
No. But at that point, the origin was like, yeah, okay, we have to see this. But then I was looking for the Easter eggs that were in it, and straight away there was a couple. Like there was the Zorro poster outside the theatre that came on. And that's obviously involved in a lot of Batman's origin. But then at the funeral bit, when Bruce runs off, I actually laughed because I saw a gravestone that said Solomon on it, and there's obviously quite a blatant Solomon Grundy Easter egg. I was like, oh, okay, this could be quite good. If they kept more Easter eggs, just keep going.
Yeah.
We probably would have been distracted by how bad the film was.
But there were a lot.
There were a lot.
Or there were a lot of possible Easter eggs.
Yeah.
And I think I said this to you after, or to all of you afterwards. I got a little bit distracted. Even during the fight scene between Batman and Superman, there was graffiti on some of the walls. There were a lot of J's in there. We'd already seen the graffiti on what we presume is Robin's, we think possibly Jason Todd's suit.
Yeah.
So we've already seen that, and I got distracted trying to sort of see, what does that say? What is that pointing us to? Is this pointing towards the Suicide Squad film? Are we going to get someone from that in here?
Yeah.
I kept looking for all those little bits, and I got a little bit distracted, and a lot of it I still don't know if it was or it wasn't.
There was, I must admit, from the trailers, I felt like there was going to be a few scenes where you're like, oh, I wonder what this is, this is going to be an Easter egg or it's going to be someone important. Going straight back to the start of the film, when you're 2 years before, you're in Metropolis, Bruce Wayne is going to his company, and from the trailers, I'm thinking, this is someone important that he's looking for. This is someone really important, and I'm starting to think, who's our... And it's some random dude called Jack that we all thought he said Dad when it started off. We're starting going, hey, what? Oh, Jack. Who the hell's Jack?
No, full disclosure, I still thought it was Dad by the end of the
I
film,
thought
and
it
I
was
was
Jack.
still confused.
It was Jack.
I thought it was Chad.
Chad.
I was gonna say about the Easter eggs side of things, and the biggest one in there I thought was the Jason Todd Robin suit that was graffitied with Joker. I know it's been rumoured already, but I'm fairly confident that the Batman solo movie is going to be the Red Hood story because of that.
Under the Red Hood is one of my favourite storylines, and the animated film is awesome with Jensen Ackles as
so
Jason
good.
Todd. Really, really good, and I really, really hope. And I think Ben Affleck will be awesome as the Batman from that.
And he's directing it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's going to be really good. But talking about, you said you didn't know it's going to be a link to Suicide Squad as well. I don't know if it has been confirmed, but the writing on the Robin suit almost perfectly matches the writing from the Suicide Squad trailers. With all the actors' names and stuff. So I think it is trying to suggest it is the same Joker doing that.
It just, again, they just slightly missed the mark with that. I think you said when it came out, that completely missed. I said I didn't feel like it was aiming for anything.
Yeah.
I think they just threw a load of stuff together and hoped it was worth it. They didn't feel... Every film should have that sort of golden thread that runs through it. That is what every film works to, is your golden thread. I didn't feel like they had that in there at all.
I feel like the biggest running theme through this whole film, and it was my biggest pet peeve about the film as well, is that it was just dream sequence after dream sequence after... Jesus Christ, like, no one cares. No one has that many dreams.
I didn't know what was real anymore.
No.
Yeah, like the desert scene was the main bit where I'm like, is this a dream?
What's a dream? What's a vision?
Sure. And yet the vision within a dream, just, it's painful.
Batception.
Just to go back to that desert scene, actually, again, I thought that was real. I was watching it and then I was thinking, well, hang on, who are all these people that he suddenly brought in to help him?
Yeah.
And then when you had everyone with the S logos, the way my mind went was I thought, what Lex Luthor has done is he's used Zod's DNA to create a Superman clone who's then created this army, so he's going to make it look like Superman has made this army and is trying to take over the world and then go down into the prison, all of that. I literally sat there and thought, and then when obviously that wasn't what happened, I came out and I thought, literally, my misunderstanding would have been better.
I love that film.
I think Sammy and I just had a look at them when you were talking about that we wanted that movie.
Yeah,
Instead.
Let's make that movie.
Well, talking about that, I mean, that is kind of taken from the comics as well. Even what Lex Luthor does actually do with Doomsday, he uses his own DNA with Zod's DNA and the Kryptonian technology to make Doomsday. In the comics, he uses his DNA or certain versions of Bizarro to make Superman and Lex Luthor combine to make Bizarro, and he also does a clone of Superman with Lex's DNA to make one of the Superboys. So that's another Easter egg reference, but I don't think they should have made Doomsday, to be honest. I think a clone of Bizarro, a clone of Superman would have been better than Doomsday, I think.
Here's one point that they turned into a major thing, or they changed a lot, I'm assuming, from the comics. I didn't realise Gotham was so close to Metropolis.
Yeah.
Just across the way.
No, I'm with you. I didn't realise that either.
Yeah, it's literally just a bridge, pretty much, but it's how I'm seeing it. And then you're straight into Gotham. It was just...
No, I didn't realise they were so close either. With the one other point that came to mind as well, with the Lex taking over command of the Kryptonian ship.
Yeah.
Kryptonians are a bit dumb if it is that easy for him to take command of their ship and also then do something which they've said is not allowed.
Yeah.
You know, they've said, no, this is an abomination, you mustn't do it. And then they go, but he says, no, I want to do it. And they go, oh, okay, sure, no problem.
It's forbidden. Oh, but I wanna. Oh,
Okay.
actually, yeah, fine. Yeah, okay, carry on. As you were.
How does everybody feel about the fact that this movie has made so much money? I don't know if you know or not, but it's confirmed it's the biggest Warner Brothers movie opening.
Well, it's made,
Ever.
what, $424 million already in the opening weekend?
Yeah.
It was predictable,
Yeah.
and I think they opened it on pretty much every market all at once. And I reckon they did that because they were worried it was going to be crap,
Yeah.
which it is. So they're making as much money as they possibly can straight away.
So I'm not surprised because those names carry weight with the fans and with people, people who have never picked up a comic book in their life. Those names mean something to them, and they think, ooh, two big names together, gonna see it. And that's why, again, it was so disappointing.
I think it was always going to make a lot of money because it's the first... I mean, effectively, this is DC now trying to take the fight to Marvel, isn't it? Because Marvel have kicked their asses all over the place so far. This is them trying to take the fight to them. So I think people wanted to see how they were going to do that. The versus element, especially when you've got Civil War coming out, you wanted to see that as well. I don't think it deserves as much money as it's going to make, but I'm glad that it is, because if it didn't, they potentially could then try changing the lineup. And I don't want to see a cancelled standalone Batman film. I definitely still want to see the Justice League film. I still want to see the Wonder Woman film. So I don't actually want this film to change what is planned. I just genuinely feel like this was a necessary evil to get through. Okay, so I'm going to draw it to a close. I'm sure there's a lot more we could still say. But everybody's still excited for Wonder Woman,
Absolutely.
Yes.
Justice League,
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
standalone Batman film.
Yeah.
I think that's the most excited for that one.
Are you still excited to see the Flash, Aquaman, and those characters?
Aquaman, Cyborg, yes. Flash, no.
Yeah, that's how I feel too.
Unless they do Flashpoint.
Okay.
I'm pretty much the same. I'm looking forward to seeing Jason Momoa as Aquaman.
Yeah, I'm looking
Think
forward to
it'll
him playing a better Aquaman in that unnecessary scene.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to check out the blog for all things geeky, featuring reviews, trailer talks, book recommendations, videos, and our very own Master Vigilante. The blog is jackandthegeekstalk.wordpress.com. We're also on Twitter as @JackGeekstalk. Follow us for fan polls, fan casts, and general geek chat. And tune in next time.
Bye!